Trucker Steve here, July 2026. Keep on trucking. So, if you've been following me for the last 4 years or so, you may be thinking to yourself, I've been following Trucker Steve, and years ago, or a few years ago, he was speaking about Fmcsa dropping the alley docking, and even up until maybe a year or so ago, still talking about why we need to do alley docking, why and how the Fmcsa dropped it from the testing, from the skills, etc. So I'll try to explain it. Yes, there was a progression, and I'll explain how my teaching has changed over the years and why it changed. So I started out on the eastern shore of Maryland. Maryland, at that time, entry-level driving training has not started, but Maryland did not have alley docking on the test. So most schools in Maryland taught to the test. There was no entry level, no set curriculum by the Fmcsa or anything like that, or DOT. So they taught to the test. But as an instructor, I kept on looking. I said, we need to teach these guys how to alley dock it. But the class size was 8 students, 2 instructors. And I didn't want to show up to other instructors, so I took my students. I found a warehouse, got permission to use their dock. It was not in use. And I took my students there, took cones, and I set up a range there. And I trained my students on all kinds of backing skills and back it into the dock. It really benefited the students. Then I came to Maryland. Went to a school, fairly large number of students at the school. And first I had to be taught, this is what we do and this is how we teach it. Still, entry-level driving training has not entered the picture yet. But I start teaching angle back at 45, 90 degree, whatever I could do. And then the school went from 1 range to 2 ranges in the same area, but different locations. And now I was in charge of a range, and another CDL instructor was in charge of another range. We were the lead instructors. And I really went into it. If you can look at my YouTube channel, Trucking Steve CDL Instructor, you can see a lot of videos on alley docking. And I started teaching. I told them I could not do it with every single student. The ratio was way out of balance. Luckily, I had a degree in a form of education, recreational leadership, how to plan programs, how to develop programs, how to fix programs that were not being run properly, etc. So I had a background in that. And I did manage to keep all, if it was just myself and 20 students, or myself and 20 and 2 instructors, each one of us had 10 students each, we found a way to make it work. But all I can do was suggest to the students is say, look, if you want to get a local job, if you want to succeed in trucking, you need to learn alley docking. If you want to learn it, I will teach it to you. And I did. And you saw the videos that I did. I didn't force anyone to do it. Okay. Remember, once again, entry-level driving training wasn't in. Maryland didn't have alley docking as one of their state tests. Other states did. So I did. I taught a lot of students. Some students didn't want to do it at first, but then when they saw other students doing alley docking, and they come back to me and say, I want to join in. I want to learn too. And the numbers grew a little bit. And I was teaching on my lunch break because the time was a factor too. So then comes the entry-level driving training. The states, when that came into effect, once again, the states never said anything. They said, look, this is entry-level driving training, and you must teach everything that's on that curriculum. That never really happened. Never said anything. And we continued on like we were, just doing the same old, same old. And I was still teaching students who wanted to really learn how to back. I was teaching it. Then came the modernization testing. Shortly after the entry-level driving training finally took effect. It came in, the entry-level driving training was developed around 2016, but it took several years for it to come into to fully implemented. So that was around 2022, and also around 2022, late in 2022, 2023, came in the modernization test. Developed by the AAMVA, most of those were people who ran state testing sites. So it was no secret that within a few years, just about 95% of the states across the United States adopted the new modernization test. No surprise. Yes, on one of my videos, I called it that test was based all on a lie, mostly the driver shortage lie. So, but once again, when the modernization test came in, the MVA and Department of Motor Vehicles never said to us once, oh, by the way, you need to teach the entry-level driving training program. So we all assume, all the instructors, you mean some of the schools, the directors and the owners, because they never spent the time reading and trying to dissect and what the disconnect was. No one really communicated with us that well. And the instructors, like myself, we all thought that was the new skills that needed to be taught. I wasn't too happy. I mean, if you look back at one of the videos where I was interviewed by the helpful trucker, and I said right there, when I did that interview at the very beginning of the modernization test, I said, this is an easier test, not to the students. The students don't have the skill of backing up. Most of them never backed up before, so it's not easier for them. But as instructors, we know this is an easier pathway to get that CDL license. We knew that. But what I didn't understand was no one from the state or the Fmcsa, no one really clearly defined it. Even today, 2026, you'll never see anything from the Fmcsa on the entry level. They never updated and put another line in there saying, this must be taught. And the differences between the entry-level driver training and the modernization test, the two difference between the test and the curriculum. Never explained it. Even to this day, so far. Fmcsa is now in 2026, 2025, 2026, talking about scam schools, schools not following the curriculum, not doing this and that. They knew this was going on for years. And still at this time, I believed that the new skills that had to be taught at the school was the 4 skills that was on the modernization testing, which 95% of the states were doing. 4 skills: forward control stop, straight line back, forward off tracking to the left, reverse offset. That was it. But once again, I continued, even with the SMART, since we was a third-party testing site, and our lines were changed. But still, I was teaching those students who wanted to learn how to alley dock and parallel park from the blind side, side. Those who wanted to learn, I was still teaching it. Even though I thought at that time it was not required on the curriculum to teach The school never said anything to me. And I continued on thinking it wasn't on the scale. So I don't want to get this video real long, so I'm going to fast track forward. So I have several platforms. Facebook, 2 channels, 2 platforms, CDL Student Training Tips and Roll on CDL Trucker, and on YouTube, Trucker Steve CDL Instructor, and the name change. It was the Broken CDL Trucking System. Now it's Trucking Training Standards. Then I joined LinkedIn. And here's where things start changing for me. Instructor from Texas, Tommy Roach. I'm not too sure if I'm saying the last name right, but it's Tommy. He's a lead instructor in Texas. So he asked me to give him a call. I called him till we talked a little bit. And he said, hey, entry-level driving training, alley docking, all these skills have to be taught. And he was going over what they was teaching at his school. And at that time, I think I said something to him, kind of like slowly disagreeing a little bit, but I didn't want to get into it too much. That no, it's all changed. That alley docking is no longer. The new testing is from the Fmcsa, and the modernization is the 4 skills that states are testing on. So after the conversation with Tommy, I'm a person who would try to prove him wrong. So I wanted to research and try to understand. And I looked through every article on the modernization test. And there it was, little small sentence that yes, the AAMVA said all schools, in a way, in so many words, all schools must, Fmcsa still requires training and teaching on the standard test. At that time, what the standard test was, alley docking, 45, 90-degree angle alley docking, parallel parking, sight side, blind side, offset parking, etc., dropping hooks. That had to be taught according to the ones who developed the modernization test. The test is one thing, the curriculum is something else. And I realized, looked at it, and I start saying, man, how wrong I was. And there's where the change was. Trucker Steve saying one thing some years ago, and as time went on, I started changing my tune. I realized what has happened. And yes, I'm hard on the Fmcsa. They have to be held accountable for the disconnect between CDL schools and the Fmcsa entry-level driving training requirements. And a lot of them will say, well, you should have known. It's clearly written. Yes, it's pretty clearly written. But nowhere on the on the entry-level driving training did they update it and make it clear. And July 2026, up until this point, has anyone heard from DOT or Fmcsa explaining and clearly saying, since we have a big disconnect between the CDL schools and what the curriculum is, we're going to take this time to explain it to you in writing and on this video that we are presenting to all CDL schools, all instructors, what must be taught to all CDL students. Have you heard anything like that from the Fmcsa? Have you? So far, I have not heard. All I heard was, they bring in students like cattle, bring them in and haul them out into trucks. All negative. I hear podcasts all talking about the low standards of CDL training. That's what I'm hearing. But no one is talking about the watered down system of testing of CDL students. The CDL students like it. Most of them probably do like it because a lot of them want to get in and get out fast themselves. So in 2022, in 2016, 2022, it was a big push to cut the red tape to get students in and out of school. So when Tommy convinced me and talked, well, I don't know if he convinced me, he pushed me to research and to learn, see who was right. And Tommy was right. I was wrong. And that's why I have changed. Some of my videos from talking about one thing that the Fmcsa dropped Alley Doc, and no, they did not, to that the entry-level driving training curriculum and the modernization state testing are two different parts. One's a curriculum and one's a test. And not clearly explained to this day. So that's this video was all about. I just wanted to say, yes, if anyone noticed that the change over the years, what I was saying several years ago and what I'm saying now, all because I went to LinkedIn, a lot of good people with a lot of knowledge, people who are instructors. And also I realized, is the Fmcsa really talking to instructors? So if someone who owned a CDL school wanted to talk to Fmcsa Administrator Derek Bars, he's not going to bring up how students, a CDL school sets up students for their tests. He's not going to talk to them about that. He would definitely talk to them about CDL school, so-called mills. But as I said in many of my videos, a CDL school that's state licensed and accredited, a lot of them are doing the same thing, teaching to the test. There are some schools that will teach Alley Doc and all this stuff. Really good schools. And yet there'll be some schools that say, yeah, we teach Alley Docking, but is it, you'll pay extra money to get an advanced course. Okay. And they still have shorter programs, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. No way the student will be proficient. Yeah, they can say, yeah, we ran them through a couple angle, back and offset, Alley Doc and et cetera. Some of them picked it up, some of them, but they'll all be tested out. But no one's going to check up on them, see if these students really know how Alley Doc. No one's going to check up on them. Maybe someday they will. Maybe they'll come and do an audit. But I still don't blame the CDL schools, especially a private school. Schools that are in it for the profit. They have to make money. If they don't make money, they go out of business. And if you have these schools offering 5 days, 7 days, 10 days to a CDL, they're taking students, they're taking profit away from them. So now they have to come up with a shortcut. A quickie classroom theory, just go over it in one day and get them back out on the range. Or tell them to go online, where a lot of cheating can go on. You can get your friend to take the test for you, or you sit at the computer and you check yourself in, you face whatever they try to do. They say, well, when you check in, you have to have, face recognition, whatever it is. And then you can move away and then someone else can take the test for you. Knock it out in one day. So much fraud. The system is broken. So I'm going all over the place now because time to wrap this video up. So there's a lot of problems. The standards of training for CDL students is piss poor. It's bad. The schools that are doing it right, thank goodness there's a lot of schools out there who are doing it right. But I can say close to 50% of the schools, even if they consider good schools, are not teaching the entry-level driving training to the fullest. Maybe a little watered down. Yeah, they did it. The student backed in. I guess he's okay. Time to really teach to the test. Do you get what I'm saying? Do you understand the progression that I went through, where I was a few years ago and where I am now? How hard it is for me to get a communication to really talk to Fmcsa Administrator Derek Bars. He has communicated with me, several back and forth messages, and then nothing. A lot of questions I asked, nothing. 2 times that happened. First, I thought it was a fluke, that it really wasn't him, and it was him. I don't like that, but I still respect Administrator Derek Bars, Chief Derek Bars. I respect him. He's a very good man. But I don't like it when someone asks you to ask questions, gives some solutions to the situation, and then you don't get any response. It's over with. I even gave him my phone number. So, I guess I better get off this rant. I hope I made myself clear where I am, where I was, and where I am now. I'm trying to do my best. I know I cannot do this much longer. On many of my videos, I'll close out with, some may know that I'm a full-time caregiver. I'm in my mid-75, working towards 76. So I will still be driving. I'm still in good shape. I can run, I can jump, I can do everything that I have done for years. But I'm a full-time caregiver. Got to take care of my wife. She comes first. And I know my wife has dementia. No one needs to feel sorry for me, because these are the best times of my life right now, because I'm spending so much time with my wife while we can still work together. And she's teaching me, I'm teaching her, and I'm learning about how to take care of her. And I did make some statements probably most likely by next year. That's it. I'll do as much as I can with my primary channel, Truckin' Steve CDL instructor, and everything else I'll probably just leave the room, get out of it, because that's the best thing for me to do. My wife comes first, and arguing about the Fmcsa and the CDL schools, that probably comes second or third, and we'll see how it goes. There'll be days that I can get on and get a video out, but lately it's been very difficult for me to do a video. So when I do have a few hours that I can, have someone watching my wife, I try to do one. But hopefully you can understand where I am. Hey, this is a hell of a long video. So I don't know how many people can even watch it, but I just wanted to clear the air and set everyone straight. See you in the next run. Be safe out there. Learn your skills. Fight for your rights. You need to learn how to alley dock. You need to learn how to master the art of backing up. Standards of training needs to be set at a high standard.